Welcome everybody to Meet the Polymaker. I am your host for the night, Joel, and just again, welcome in everybody who's here. The typical suspects. Yeah, pretty much all of you, already sometimes having that auto typing stuff. I think some of you copy and paste that message in chat, but we're here to talk about 3D printing, maker news, show off some prints from our community, show off prints channel in our Discord at discord.polymaker.com. Join if you haven't yet. And then obviously talk to our next maker, meeting the next maker of the week. And we're going strong. I've lost count. I think we might be in the 60s or we're close to the 60s. So with that said, we got no time to waste. Let's get right into Hotend headlines. And first up, we're going to talk about an RC car that is under $100. That is before the controller, which the controller is not your typical RC controller. It's going to be a Bluetooth gaming controller after you get this all programmed. So this is designed by Matt Seralfs, I think. It's powered by a ESP32 cam board. You do have to know some programming, some Arduino programming, or at least know how to copy and paste and flash it to, etc., etc. But what's really cool about this car is it's also equipped with a camera. We've seen it in the past. There was some RC cars at Walmart that had little cameras with a horrible little LCD screen. This isn't that. While you could probably adapt it towards having a screen on the remote and everything else, this is a setup to actually stream live to a Python server. So I don't know if anybody's ever seen those. I don't know if they're content creators or streamers that have the front-facing cam on their vehicle, and then they have a whole rig cockpit set up, and they stream driving around like their neighborhood, chasing cats and everything else. This could just kind of essentially do that for a really low budget. So very, very cool project. I'm interested in seeing maybe something fun to do, when given the time, especially for $100. You can't beat the price. Next up, we've got something that's not new news. It was announced at Rapid. I haven't covered it yet because we've talked about a lot of other printers, a lot of other products and things and technology that's come out. But this is resin printing. Resin printing is still printing regardless if it's toxic or not, as per Zombie Hedgehog. But this is going to be Elegoo's, not their Centauri Carbon, but their Jupiter 2 resin printer. It is a 16K resin printer, build volume of 302 by 161 by 300. It is their largest Jupiter resin printer to date. Of course, has auto leveling. It's got maintenance, easy maintenance, the 16K precision LCD screen. So a lot of cool features. If you're into printing big, it is one of the larger resin printers for a relatively lower consumer price. So pick it up. I don't have the release date in front of me. I don't know why I didn't put that on my notes. Let's be launched the third quarter of 2025. There we go. So if you're looking for resin, it's a good quality printer there. Well, should be. It's not released yet. We'll see. Next up, we have a mirror polished PLA. Now, this is not a new product. It's not a hint at a new product. This is just a guy using PLA, making a handle. He's made a couple different things, but on this one, he's made this handle of this brush in PLA, then put it on a lathe and went through several cycles of sanding and polishing to get a mirror polish finish. This is a 3D printed, it was printed upright. You can see the layer lines on the initial project that he did until he sanded it down. A lot of wet sanding, a lot of wet sanding and everything else that went into this with the polishing and everything else. Really cool finish. Now, again, he had a lathe, so his spinning it made it a lot easier. A more complex shape is going to be very difficult to do this to, but not impossible depending on your amount of patience. And this is this gentleman. Let's see, I had his name on here. Goes by the name of Salveo, Salveo. He's on YouTube. He's on Reddit. I actually seen it originally on Reddit. Yeah, so just cool projects to look up. Next up, another product is the Eufy Make, which was recently renamed from Anchor Make. They made the printers, 3D printers. Now they have their UV printer, which is a UV resin printer. Boasts a lot of cool things. It's 3D textures that can be printed by basically stacking layers of resin, kind of just like a 3D printer. But it's able to do over 1 million plus colors, true to life colors, on over 300 plus materials. Wood, stickers, metal. I've seen all sorts of things so far. There's a lot of people starting to review these, and it just does prints out a layer and adds color to it. cures it, and does the same thing over and over. Does have self-cleaning system, so a lot of times, just like with if anybody's ever done sublimation printing, if you don't use it for a while, it can gum up, dry up. They have a self-cleaning system that's supposed to be very, very well, work very well on this. AI powered workflow, and it's an all-in-one compact design, as you see here. A lot of times these printers are a lot larger. So this one being a smaller compact, it's a desktop UV resin color printer. So gonna see, I think, a lot of cool projects come from this. Price wise, I think if you get in on the early bird Kickstarter thing, you know, putting a deposit down, I think you get it for $1,500 for the base model with the ink and everything else. So maybe something cool if you have some ideas for it. And last but not least, we're going to talk about Union Fab, who's built one of the world's largest fleet of 3D printing production machines with nearly 800 systems. They're ranging anywhere from 500 SLA machines, from Union Tech to Stratasys, BLT, HP, the flow jets for metal binding metal binder jetting. So this is just one small aisle of the entire facility. So of course, you know, we all like to have a ton of printers, be able to print anything we want at any given time. Imagine having access to this facility that could do even more so, and of course, metal printing and just a lot more options in the consumer. I was hoping I could find the cost. I could not find the cost in the article. The article is available on Voxel Matters if you want to check it out. A lot of money, that's for sure the case here. But just really cool to see. Like I said, I think it's touted the world's largest. I'm saying one of the world's largest because I couldn't find confirmation 100% that it is. But it's just a ton of CNC machines, 200 CNC machines, 400 industrial grade 3D printers, SLS, metal binding, etc., etc. I mean, it's a maker's paradise in that place. And I did not get the location, but if you know where it's at, go knock on their door, ask them if you can take a peek in. But that is it for our news. Let's go ahead and spin over to Spool to Spotlight. And first up, we're going to see a design and a print that is both done by Corvus. It's available on printables. And this is the lenses. So this is focusing more on the lenses for the extruder Easter Bunny. So it's kind of two prints in one. Of course, Easter's over, but still can share awesome prints. And this is a cool print. It kind of goes along with the chill Bugs Bunny. So it's a maybe competition. Next up, we have Frankenbee, who has printed something large. Who would have thought Frankenbee and a large print would go hand in hand? Because if it's not Frankenbee, it's Traxman 25. But this is the perspective is a little bit off here, because this is the Happy Drake. It's the model designed by Silverback Creations, available for free on Maker World. The print is done on Frankenbee's printer, which you see behind that he just recently finished building. And that is an 800 by 800 by, I believe, 950 millimeter bed. So this is a diagonal print on an 800 by 800. I can't remember the exact scale and size of this Happy Drake, but it's big. Despite the picture, it's big. It's a very large printer overall, but it printed it great. I think this was the second print that he threw on this thing right off the rip. So he had confidence, and it followed through. Next up, we have the Free Heathen, or Free Heathen Workshop, one of our partners, often streaming over on Twitch. And when he's not doing that, he's printing things such as, actually designing and printing things such as the Free Heathen Workshop Egg Build Flexi. Again, Easter's over, yes, but these were shared, and Easter was a few days ago, so we still got to share. But this model is available also for free on things.com. Just search the FHW Egg Build or the Free Heathen Workshop. Next up, we have Jake, who is always designing and printing very cute little insects and animals and whatnots. And this is the Flexi Butterfly. It is available on their Patreon, which goes under the name of Polly Pocket 3D. So these are a little bit larger than Polly Pocket, so it's a little bit deceiving by the name, Jake. We'll let it pass this time. But again, take a look at his Patreon. A ton of little Flexis, always cute and a little bit different than what you normally see. Like a tuna fish and a tuna can. That I thought was just one of my favorites of his. It's so simple. But thanks again for sharing. And last but not least, we have Fricarte or Fricart 3D. And I always think Fricart, like French fries. I like food, obviously. But he has designed and printed this Nano Arc Iron Man helmet. I didn't have both pictures on here, but what's cool is the arc reactor and the stem for the helmet stand actually or transparent or semi-transparent, opaque, and glow blue. So glow blue, just like the Arc Reactor does. And then you can then place the helmet on there and have it kind of glowing. Just adds a really cool effect. But to see all the pictures you've seen here and then more, such as the one where this actually is glowing, head over to discord.polymaker.com and go off to our Show Off Prints channel to check out all these and many, many more prints that are shared. And I encourage you, share your own. The good, the bad, the ugly, the fails, the successes, everything in between. Share them. You might be featured on the show. So I appreciate everybody that has shared for this show and for previous shows. And I look forward to seeing many more creations and inspirations in our Discord. But it's time for a commercial break, so then we can get back to meeting our next maker of the week. So stay tuned and we'll see you in just a moment. Come on down to Polymaker's Palace of Printing Perfection, where we have everything your 3D printing heart desires. We have PLA, we have ABS. Let's not forget ASA, maybe PETG your material of choice. We got that too. Don't forget nylons for those specific needs. Printing something special for that loved one in your life? We have all the colors to make that print a one of a kind. You want reds? We got them. How about blues? We got those too. And greens? Of course we do. Too many to count. And let's not forget the yellows all day long. Now don't take my word for it. Come on down and see for yourself. Here at Polymaker's Palace of Printing Perfection, we strive to fulfill all your printing needs. So come on down and start your collection today. We're easy to find right past the giant light box on Hangout Avenue at us.polymaker.com.
Are you into cosplay and prop making? Are you tired of having to break out those power tools to sand those lines away? And don't forget about all that hand sanding. Cramps. Ouch. Introducing Polymaker's Cos PLA, available in two different versions, version A and version B. Both versions are still easier to stand than standard PLA. Find out more at us.polymaker.com.
Whoa, I'd love to get into 3D printing, but I live here on the sun where the UV rays are nuts.
Wait just one moment there, strapping young chap. Have you ever heard of Polymaker ASA? Polymaker ASA is UV resistant, so it is the perfect application for printing near or around the sun.
No way, bro.
Yes way, brosif. Here, try it out.
Radical, man.
If you need a weather-resistant material, make sure you check out Polymaker's ASA.
Printing on the sun is no problem at all with Polymaker ASA.
And welcome back to the show, everybody. We are here to meet the next maker, which many of you might recognize the face. You might recognize the name. You've probably watched him more than you've watched me, and that's okay because we love him. So let's go ahead and introduce our next guest, Daniel, also known as Modbot. How's it going, man?
Good. How's it going? Thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to be here and chit chat for a little while.
No, I appreciate you coming on the show for sure. You know, we've got a long list of episodes in the books. adding to that. So I'm glad to now have you on that catalog.
Yeah, glad to be here. Out of curiosity, what is the count currently at for
this episode is gonna be, I think, 59 or 60. So we do, of course, every week, and that's consecutive. We have not missed since I've started the show. I've never missed a show any of the weeks.
That's very impressive. I tried doing that with videos. I started a few years ago where I said, you know what? Every Saturday I'm making a video. And I did it for 3 months. I did it for 8 months. I did it for a year. And then I think we got to a certain point where I'm like, I am so sick. Oh, no. Either I was sick or I was getting married. It was very important. One of the two. It was a very important thing. Where I was like,
the other.
Yeah. I mean, it was probably both. I was sick and I skipped it one time, but also I remember I said, hey, I'm getting married. And then also when my son was born, I said, I can't do a video this week because my wife will.
I don't know how that one goes. Yeah, hello. Hey, honey, I'm sorry. I'm going to be late to the wedding. I'm just holding off.
No.
I'm recording this last few minutes. I'll be out in just a minute.
Yeah, my wife is a saint, and she puts up with a lot of doorbells ringing with large boxes, and I get the eye roll. I get the another one, but she's we've been together for 10 years now, and when we met, it was me in my room with bed, desk, and printer. So like she knows there was no secrets. Oh yeah.
See, I made her. My wife is the same way. It's she deals with it. I get the occasional eye roll, but she knows like it is what it is. I've accepted my fate at this point. It's just roll with it.
Yep. Yeah. She knows that it makes me happy, and it's my thing. So she but yeah, every once in a while we're getting to that point now where she looks around and says, you got to figure out how to relocate or tear down or do something. What
are you getting rid of?
Yeah, exactly. So filament too, man. And Polymaker, you guys are definitely to blame. But every time I'm like, there's a few more rolls in because I'm doing this thing and I don't have the right color. So, she's filaments, man. She's definitely.
I know that problem very well, also.
Yeah, I'm sure. Do you have a wall, or is it more just kind of scattered?
I have a room. I actually built a room extension off my workshop that is the community has dubbed it several names, but Corridor of Color. Nice. It is rep wraps on both sides of the walls, and it's I think 15 foot long, and it's a narrow room that you can walk down, and it's a problem, but right now Polymaker is not paying for Filaments Anonymous, so I haven't unfortunately quite went to those meetings yet.
Unfortunately, it's a real bummer. Well, no, it's not a bummer, but I was fine with just a few basic colors until multicolor printing became more of a thing, and now it's no, I need this specific hue of red, and I don't have it. Well, before it's I got red, it's fine, it's
yeah, but it's just red. But no, it's the same as people will ask me why, because I have pretty much the entire, before I worked for Polymaker, I had the entire Polymaker collection minus I think maybe 20 spools, but it was just that it was the multicolor, and I'm really picky when I have colors. I want to match them as close as I can. So it's
I get it.
Sure, I have a red, but it's not that red. But Polymaker has that red and that red and that red. So why not just have all four on hand? So when I need it, it's there.
Yeah, no, I can relate, and it makes me feel better. It's one of those things where if you talk to people outside of 3D printing, they'll probably look at you like you're a little bit nuts. But when you talk to people in 3D printing, you feel a little bit better because they show you their mess. They're like, all right, I'm not looking at you. You got worse than me. I'm fine.
There's some support there. I think we probably need to do a support group and just all get together every week and just reassure everybody that it's okay. It's okay that you have 8 million spools of filament. Yep. It's okay to order some more if there's some new colors, okay?
Yeah, you can say, hi, I'm Joel. Hi, Joel.
Hi, Joel. And I have a filament problem.
Yeah, exactly, man.
So real quick, for those that don't happen to know who you are, who are you and what exactly do you do?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I am Daniel. I go by Modbot online, and I cover all things 3D printing. Primarily, I think most people probably know me through YouTube. I'm 32, and I started making videos at 18, I want to say. But it was not 3D printing. I started off actually doing, it started off with video game hacking and modding, and then small electronics repair and things like that. And then in 2014, I discovered the beautiful technology of 3D printing, which was supposed to be an accessory to my projects, but I became completely obsessed. And, here we are 10 years later, the channel. I occasionally dabble with other maker digital fabrication technologies like lasers, and a little bit of CNC, but like 3D printing has always been sort of the main
It was just such a
thing.
rabbit hole to jump into. That's why I
Oh
tell
my
everybody that
gosh.
starts is like,
Yeah.
just so you know, heads up. You
Yeah.
just jumped into the rabbit hole and you're gonna fall for a while.
Yeah, and it really depends. Like, I mean, a lot of us like that are really in the hobby. Like, my personality is very much like I need to know everything. Like, I can't just be like, oh yeah, it's a
Yep.
3D printer, cool, I'll print. No, no, like, how does it work? What is this? Why does that do that? So, yeah, I've been making videos for a long time, and it sort of started out as the same way when I was doing the video game stuff. Was like a lot of the information wasn't easily available. It was via forums at the time,
Oh,
and
yeah.
this luckily 3D printing compared to the video game hacking has very little gatekeeping by comparison, but there was a lot of gatekeeping where like not so friendly to newbies. And so I, with that stuff, not 3D printing, but like had to really like learn by breaking things and trying and trying and trying. And so when I finally found something that worked, I was like, I'm gonna share this. Like, I don't know if anyone will care, but
Yeah,
like, let
yeah.
me make a video and I'll put it out there.
There's
And
gotta be at
I was
least one
so
more person having
yeah,
this issue or
yeah.
wanting to fix this.
Exactly. And the feedback I got, I mean, at the time was very minimal. You know, videos were getting, you know, I was happy to break 100, 200 views back then. But like, even just having one person say like, this was so helpful. Thank you so much. It was really what like fed my desire to like, okay, like people care. There's people that care.
Yeah. I
And
made
so
a difference in somebody's day at least
yeah,
this time, and then with each video, just
yep.
builds and builds and builds.
Yeah, it felt really good. And so 3D printing was a lot of the same. I bought a 3D printer in 2014, which was the XYZ DaVinci 1.0.
Oh, Da
It was
Vinci,
the only
okay,
one, yeah, it was the only one I could afford, except for like I think Robo 3D at the time was sort of prevalent, and they had one about the same price, but I got it for $400. I bought it from Newegg. It showed up and it broke
Newegg. I
after
haven't
I
heard that
think
site in a while.
I know. It was a horrible experience, but I ran 2 prints on it, and then something died on it, and I tried to return it. They said this is on our no return list. XYZ gave me 0 support at all, so I had to learn through forums how it all worked. I learned like what Marlin was and Arduino and ramps and how to board swap, and it was awful. Like the experience really wasn't good, but I learned enough, and I did the same thing I did before, which was, you know, basically take that, let me throw this crazy information out there in not really a condensed format. It was a lot of like this.
Back and forth.
But people, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I started with videos probably 3 years ago. I script videos now, and it's not because I don't think people can make good videos off the cuff. It's because I'm a literal squirrel. Like if I don't have it, I just, it's like this thought and that thought and this thought. And so like I have to, when I write stuff, I'm like, what am I trying to convey, and how do I convey that in some format where people aren't going to be like, this guy's nuts, you know? So,
okay, I understood what he was going with here, but then he went off over here.
Yeah,
then he
yeah.
came
Why
back
are we
a
talking?
little bit.
Yeah, people that watch my streams get like the raw, you know, like uncut, and it's like, why are we talking about food for 20 minutes every single stream? Like, you know?
So I recently started back on Tuesday stream of kind of what Nick used to do of just interacting with the community, brainstorming, getting some ideas for events. And yeah, there's many. The last one I did was, the first half hour, of course, saying hi to everybody as they're coming to chat, and then reading the messages, and then getting sidetracked there. Nothing 3D printed related for like the first 30 minutes. Like, okay, I'm gonna get on track now. 15 minutes later, okay, no, I'm gonna get on track now. Like, let's talk about what I meant to talk about. So yeah, it's you have to at least have
tricky.
some bullet points yet you want to hit, or else it's easy to veer off.
I know a lot of people that do bullet points as well, and I have tried and done some of that. It really depends on the subject matter. Like a lot of, not all, but a lot of what I cover is quite technical, where there's like specific numeric values or measurements, and like it's just so difficult to have that data. Like, I'm not that good. Like I think, yeah, I'm not that good, and so I not that like the format won't sort of refine a bit as time goes on, but like from what I was doing prior to this format to now, I'm just a lot happier with the end product. I feel like it really is more helpful than just that whole we call it squirrel. I mean, in our live streams, there's always like I have a squirrel sound effect on my soundboard I always play when I'm getting too far off track.
It's just a bird nest of information,
Yeah, exactly.
Like I said, it's a lot easier to put it where it's a little bit more digestible. I can watch that stream, and I know what he's talking about, and this is how I fixed this part, or I build this part, or anything. So no, but I completely understand. So of course you started with the DaVinci. And then that didn't fare too well. So even with those that problem and not having the support, having to figure it out and fix it, did fixing it amplify your interest in it and think, hey, I want to get more into
Yeah.
it, or was it kind of
Majorly.
stall
So
ya?
so
Okay.
yeah, so to get a little to give a little more context on that, what happened was I got it, it stopped working. I went through Newegg trying to return it because they said this thing is busted, like it just does not work. They put me in contact with DaVinci, and it was their, their customer support was via email in China, and so it was very slow, the back and forth. Like, I mean, it was every couple days I get a response. They finally, the issue initially was the thermistor, but at the time, like I didn't even know what that was. Like I
All
had
the
just
parts to
started.
it were,
Yeah, exactly. And so I waited probably 2-3 weeks. I get a part in the mail. It's not even the part that I need. It's just like a random piece, and I'm like, what is this? And so I asked them again, and we went, there's some more round and around and around. I got so frustrated. I took that printer, I shoved it, I remember, in my closet behind my clothes, and I closed the closet, and I didn't touch 3D printing for like 6 months. I was like, it's not ready. Like, it's just like, it's so bad right now. And then I think I at that time, I had been involved in the forums more so just as a lurker, like reading, seeing what people were doing. And I think it was the RepRap forums back then. And so I was still really like keeping up on what was going on. And I learned, that's when I learned a little bit more about Ramps, Arduino, Marlin. I was kind of studying all that at the time. And then I did do a board swap where I basically just gutted their board, completely wired it up, figured out how to compile firmware from scratch. And once I got that working, the joy of taking this thing that had been a royal pain in my butt to now making a thing, like it completely lit the fire again. And I was hooked. I needed that.
It works.
Yeah, I just needed that. But yeah, back then, man, like things were so rough. There was no standards. Like people were printing on, it was mostly blue painter's tape, hairspray, and then occasionally capped on tape. Those were like the 3 big things that people were using. And there was no standards. Speaking of filament, the filament was so inconsistent a decade ago, man. Like, and I was going at the time, just the cheap stuff that I could find, but the tolerances were out of whack, the consistency. So like, it was like, it's an uphill battle.
The whole on all sides.
Oh gosh,
the material,
every side.
the hardware, and
yeah, it was rough, man. Like when when I see people complain today, I just sit and I think back. And I'm like, oh, you've got it. Like the worst of today is I would have taken any day of the week 10 years ago. Any day of the week. Like,
That's even, I've been in about 8 years in, Simplify 3D. That's where I got introduced to. And unless you scour the internet, like you said, there wasn't forums of all these profiles that everybody shared. There were a couple. I think it was Maker's Muse was one of the more popular ones for the Ender 3 back in the day. And using that, and now people can use Bamboo Studio. And like you said, you complain about plugging in your Bamboo, running calibration, going into Bamboo, saying, this is my printer, this is my filament, here's the file, spit it out and done. And anybody that complains about that, like,
it's nuts. Like how, it's funny because there's like 5 people I remember from when I started on YouTube with 3D printing, and they all started around the same time as me, maybe a little bit earlier, but it was Angus, it was Tom, it was Joel, it was Chuck. I met Chuck 10 years ago because he also started with the DaVinci, and he watched my video on how to flash the firmware on it to use like open source firmware. And I found him because he was doing repairs. Yeah, he was doing repair stuff. And then we didn't meet until 2018. It was like 4.5 years later. But I remember when I saw him the first time at Murph, I just went up to him, gave him the biggest hug because like I'd known the guy for like we had gone through the trenches together, man. So it was them. And then it was like Tech2C was a guy pretty early on that I think he created. Is he the Hypercube guy? He was really early on in like the 3D printing space, making content. I think he's Australian, maybe. But yeah, it just wasn't a lot. And you had Simplify. I wish I had just forked out the money. I was using XYZware initially, which was oh my gosh. And then I switched over and I used for many, many years Repetier host with either Cura engine or Slick 3R or Slicer as the back end portion of it, which I stuck with it for so long because I knew it so well. And I remember people making fun of me when Cura became more of a standard. Like, you're still using this archaic thing? I'm like, hey man, like it's gotten me this far. Yeah, exactly.
Well, with Simplified 3D, I definitely did not get a copy of it from a friend. It's just
yeah, sure. Wink, wink.
It was actually maybe the same friend that I got my first printer off of. I bought a secondhand off of him as he upgraded, and then it was so all his help of getting me set up was, hey, just here, use this, set up this. Here's the profile. You're good to go.
How nice to have a friend. Like I had no idea. that you'd been 3D printing for 8 years. What was the first printer that you got off of him then?
OG Ender 3. I still have it to this day.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yep,
Has it been 8 years since the Ender 3 came out now? Is that
I think
right?
we were talking about this in our hangout in Discord, and let's see here.
Because I remember I pre-ordered the Ender 3 when
way sooner than we had thought. So sorry, no, not okay, so no, I guess I don't know. Am I saying 8 years? Is it 6 years?
Yeah, 6 years sounds more right to me.
7 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
because
so 2018 March.
I pre-ordered it. I remember the CR10. Everyone was crazy about it, but I had such limited space at the time since I was renting out a room at my buddy's house. Like, I was like, I don't have space for a 300 by 300 by, I think it was 334. Is that right? I'm pretty sure that's what the height was on that thing.
CR10S?
I think so. Yeah.
Was it 400? I think it was 310 or something.
Okay.
Or 310,
Yeah.
310 or something.
I didn't have the.
It
I
was
really
huge
wanted
at the
it.
time.
Yeah. Yeah, massive. I mean, that was and the price was unreal. That was sort of like Creality back then was one of the first I remember that transitioned from using acrylic frames to extrusions, and that was a big deal in the 3D printing space because I was the ANET guy, I was the G-Tech guy that had the acrylic
G-Tech,
frame,
yeah.
you know. So yeah, I remember pre-ordering the Ender 3, getting it, and just printing like, you know, a Benchy, or it was either Benchy or a Lucky Cat. It might have been a Lucky Cat, whatever was sliced on there. And I was mind blown, man, because I hadn't experienced the Da Vinci, the Folger Tech 2020 that I built from the ground up. The Monoprice Select Mini i3 wasn't bad, but like it's still the Ender 3 to me like was miles ahead of what that little cantilever printer was. So
the first quality printer.
Exactly. Yeah.
The time
exactly.
that we called an Ender 3 quality.
It's nuts, man. It's like how far. It's interesting to me because like one thing people talk about a lot, at least over the last few years, is like, oh, it's another clone of this or it's a clone of that. And while there's some validity to that, even though there's only so many ways you can make a box with some motors and, you know, all that stuff, there's only, you know, you can add some pretty bells and whistles, but in the end, like it's a similar looking thing. But I still feel like even with things being clones, like there's still been so much progress, even from like the barrier of entry machines that you can get now for $200 or $300. Maybe it's not raising the bar in terms of like actual tech, but creating something at $200 or $300 that is accessible for people, even if it's just doing what the $800 one can do, it's a good thing in my mind. Like, I understand like there's some, you know, safety concerns and the race to the bottom is not always the best. And I get that, but I'm just saying from a standpoint of not everyone having the budget or being so in this space, having that low price point is really nice to just expand the technology and make it where more people are like, hey, I can purchase that. It's $250. Like, you know, it's not the end of the world if I don't use it every single day type thing.
Well, that's the thing too, as I always say, is when it becomes more accessible, we don't just get, you know, a ton more people printing, a ton more people talking about 3D printing, but you get people that then, you know, their minds, you know, change a little bit how they're thinking, or they get into modeling, something that they never thought of before, but let's start modeling. Okay, well, now I'm doing this. Hey, I kind of like doing this. And we get creative minds making different objects or different fun stuff, functional stuff, whatever. So it just adds to the overall pool of information and knowledge. It's like, yeah, I agree. You know, the race to the bottom, there's some caveats, if you will, but
sure, absolutely.
But I mean, but on the same point too, how you're talking about the clone stuff is, you know, Bamboo, they didn't invent Core XY. You know, those printers had existed. They just refined it, and that's what I think it is. You know, same with I think the Ender 3 at that time was. It wasn't anything that was innovative, and it was a whole new design, and all they changed. No, it's the same base there. They just refined some parts of it. And again, before chat blows up and says you're talking refined and Ender 3 in the same sentence, you can't do that.
This is 6-7 years ago, man.
You have to understand 7 years ago.
Yeah.
It makes sense back then. So if you started with an A1 or an A1 Mini, shush. You walk out of the room. The adults are talking.
Going from the ANET A8 that I had that required all sorts of frame bracing, all sorts of, oh, that's right. The bed was too powerful for the connector on the board, so it was burning up. So you had to switch over to a MOSFET board. There was so many things like that you no longer had to do with the Ender 3. Like, yes, the Ender 3 wasn't this crazy like futuristic thing, but like it just worked for the time. It just worked. You know, whether it really did is, you know, but compared to what was out there, it just worked.
Oh, yeah, like I said, that's just it's so unfortunate that not more people had started that way, so they understand the fact of like how much it really has. Like it's always the whole conversation when you're talking to your grandma. Back in my day, and it's like, okay, here we go. Like no, like legitly, back in our day, just 7 years ago, the Ender 3. I won't say it was the top, but it was the best bang for the buck, and it's what got. I mean, and really, in the end, is people that have been printing that long. How many of them have started with an Ender 3 or at some point had an Ender 3 in their arsenal? And like I said, I still have my OG Ender 3. It still works. Print's great. Quality's great. You just have to tinker with it a lot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. It's funny because I hadn't really touched on Ender 3 other than like obviously all the variants, Ender 3, V3, V2, V Pro, whatever, all these different things.
Trying to understand that whole mix.
Naming convention is wild, that in itself. But I hadn't touched on like OG Ender 3 in a while. And then I made a video, it was before we moved here. So it was maybe 2.5 years ago on like Ender 3 in 2023 or 2022. And it was like pretty wild to see still how many just like current active projects of things were still coming out for this machine. And it's because it like maybe it couldn't hang with today's standard by any means, but like you still had decent foundation. You had a power supply that worked. You had stepper motors that worked. You had aluminum extrusions that were a fantastic baseline to build off of. Like it just had so many things like that, So
look how many projects have stemmed from that between like the Recreator 3D, the switch wire, belt printers, all the different
Ender 3
modifications.
NG, the NG that's like the full core XY. There's the I want to say I think he's a German engineer. I can't think of. I did his mod though, basically where it turns the Z-axis into dual belts, and I feel so bad. I feel so bad that I'm forgetting his name right now, but it's been a couple of years and I'm horrible at names, so forgive me if you watch this. But there's just been a lot of really cool stuff that's come out where it's like, man, that's super cool. And I get like, I mean, by today's like I just reviewed yesterday, the video just went live yesterday. This Centauri Carbon, like at $300, it's really hard to tell someone buy an Ender 3 for Micro Center had their nutty sale for like $99, but like their retail price. The retail price of like 180 or 200 when you can get this fully enclosed Core X5 for 300, but it wasn't so far back where that wasn't the case. You can, a lot of the machines that came out even after that had more bells and whistles implemented them so poorly that I preferred just like the dumb printer that I had a manual. Yeah, exactly. I don't have to fight firmware because it's not meshing correctly. Like I just set my little screws and, I know I'm good to go, man.
That's the thing is the customization is nice, and like with Bamboo, of course, that closed ecosystem got its pros and cons. But like you said, is I start having a problem with that. I can't just go in and start filling with firmware or go in and just do a manual adjustment and then call it done. It's a lot more in depth if you can even do anything with it. So and there's still even the pros and cons today with all the, like you said, the Centauri Carbons, the Bamboos, the Anycubics, all that stuff. But there's still just something nice about an Ender 3.
Yeah, man. It's just, I don't know. It's like looking at your, oh man, I don't know. Just like an old, I'm trying to think of like other things, but like an old, like an old bicycle that's all beat up, but like, you learned how to ride your bike on that. Like it's just, you look at it and you're like, lots of moments
can't throw it out.
exactly, man. So you get it. He gets it.
Right now, Chad is saying Creality shills. This video must be sponsored by Creality.
No, I've got plenty of
I have my love for all companies. They all have their great machines and great things they've done. So like I said, but it's like you said, is this for me? I'm a sentimental guy. So I've got a lot of my first print off my Ender 3, first print off my X1C when I got it off Kickstarter. I have all that lined up on my shelf in my workshop. So of course, I got my Ender 3, and again, the quality is just as good after playing with it as the printers nowadays. It's there. It does it very, very much slower, but it can still spit out some good prints.
Well, the funny thing is with the speed is there was one point in time where I was in between jobs and I was going to school still at the time, college, and I was renting out a room at my buddy's house, and it was really like it was basically like the family price for the room. I mean, it was just a couple $100. It was more the principle of like, hey, you got to pay a little something. Like they
can't let you here for free.
Yeah, they treated me really well. But I was actually 3D printing and selling things, and that's how I was paying my bills. And it's funny though because the things I was printing was with the ANA A8, the Ender 3. So we're talking like at those speeds, I was printing and selling things, and it would just not work today. Like it would just not like I
Couldn't
need the
keep up.
output. No, there's no
Yeah.
way, man. It was no way. I
So,
was
so now when you were selling back then, you care to say what were you selling? Like what was
yeah,
your money maker?
it was all sorts of things. One thing in particular that I remember was super popular was a clip for a 2002 Chevy Silverado cup holder in the back seat. There was a small clip about that big that apparently broke on all of them, and you either couldn't get it from the manufacturer or the price was ridiculous, and it cost me at the time probably 40 cents in material, and they were selling for $15, and I'd sell multiple a day of them.
Geez.
Yeah, and another one that I did, I have a video on my channel actually, the Boston pencil sharpeners, the old school Boston pencil sharpeners.
The crank one?
There's no, this is motorized ones. They have like
Okay.
kind of like a wood grain to it. A lot of teachers, I don't know
Okay.
age versus me, but like when I was this younger kid in school, they
Much
had
older,
all my
I'm-
teachers. Okay, all my teachers had them, and so there is a gear inside of there that I think is a nylon gear that pretty much every single one after 10, 15 years, it cracked,
Oh, it's
and you
brittle
could
and
not
cracked, yeah.
get replacements for them. So I was printing out those gears in ABS and selling them for like $10. They were, but a gear, like, I mean, that big, and they were flying. I could not keep these Boston pencil sharpener gears in stock. So a lot of what I was doing was really digging through eBay and thinking about random things and trying to find things that felt 3D printable, that were easy to make, small, easy to print, that had lots of people wanting them. So it was things like that. It was at one point I was doing custom fangirls. So there was a guy that did a lot of custom PCs that he built out, and he always wanted custom fangirls. And so he would basically send me a vector file. I'd take that vector file and stack it onto like a, I'm trying to think of case fans, 80 by 80 millimeter, 120 by 120,
Yeah.
and print out case fans for his PC. So it was like, the thing that was fun is that there was absolutely zero consistency in like a style or brand. It was like car parts, pencil sharpener parts. Oh, you need PC parts. I got you. Like it was
You
whatever
just finding
I
the
felt.
holes,
Finding the
needs.
niche, yeah. It was about finding the niche, and I had a really good system in place. Like I only kept 2 or 3 different spools of like colors like black, white, and ABS, and I didn't print anything ahead of time. Well, there's like this, some of the small pieces that we're selling regularly I did, but for the most part, I gave myself like 3 to 5 days handling time. Order would come in, I'd fire up the printer, I'd ship it out 24 to 48 hours later, and it just worked, man. I sold a lot. And then the other thing was, back in the fidget spinners first came out, I was doing the printing back then, and I was able to beat, like, when people were first getting them, it was before they were mass produced overseas and like in every single store. I sold so many fidget spinners, like so many. I was doing custom ones of like ninja stars and like an old ship sailing one.
To go to for
I was
designs,
yeah.
rather than just your normal little whatever shape those were.
Basic style one.
Yeah.
Yep. So I went on, I think it was like Amazon and eBay. I bought like 1,000 of those 608ZZ skateboard bearings, and was just in my room finding cool designs that I could, kind of do. And I only did that for probably like a year roughly, and then I tried continuing it when we moved, but I got like a serious full-time job and was juggling YouTube, and I'm like, I just can't, man. Like, I'm a one-person show, I can't do all this. But it's a lot of fun, and I think it's cool because I do find people still that are, now more effectively with better machines, better materials, finding a niche, filling a niche, and being quite successful with it. So
yeah, that's kind of one thing. Of course, a lot of people ask me of like, oh, hey, what can I sell? What can I do vendor sites here and there. It just it's more of just a fun thing, and it was more back then to support the hobby, to buy the filament, buy more printers, etc.
Yep.
And they would always ask like, what can I sell? What can I make money with? And of course, the dragons, that's easy, but that just depends on your region of if they're still selling or not. I said, but find something that needs fixed and be the person that has the fix. And you did exactly that. Is it just find those holes and find out ways to fill them easily. Yep. And then, okay, well, I can mass produce those. I mean, imagine too, of like just the knowledge that you have now, and, the internet being such a bigger place for, commerce and everything else, and having the bamboos of what you could do with, what KitchenAid appliances, you find all those like really expensive appliances. Like, okay, well, people have these, they're going to pay me $100 for this 50-cent piece, because they don't want to pay $2,000 for a new fridge or a new dishwasher or whatever it is. So Yeah, it's
There's tons of stuff like that, and I love I love like fixing things, especially now. Like we own this house, but even when we were renting, I was probably the best renter ever because like something would break, and I'm like, oh, I'll just fix
you're
the
the
P
one to
trap
correct
under
it.
the sink. Like, yeah, like, I mean, I want to learn how to do it because eventually I'll want to do it, and like I find it very rewarding. So there's plenty of things I've done like that where it's just sort of random things that with 3D printing, like this is such a simple part, but if I look it up, oh, it's end of life of this thing was 6 years ago. You can't get parts anymore. So and I mean, I'm
Absolutely.
not. There's certainly times where you've just got to bury the thing. Like not everything can be.
You have to print and fix everything. In the
Yeah,
world.
there's certain things that it's like, all right, man, like you've zip tied and held on with hope, but it's
That's what I've had to try to wean my children off of. Is of course I've always worked on electronics and everything else on the side.
Yep.
And then 3D printing is the thing now, so they think now anything breaks. Hey, Dad, I put so and so in your workshop. If you can fix it, like. What do you mean fix? Like this can be fixed, and like plus this thing's like $5. I will go to the store and buy you a new one. I am not messing with this.
I was just talking about that to a neighbor yesterday as I was moving a bunch of dirt. I like doing everything myself, and there's sometimes I do it because I'm like I can probably save cost, and there's sometimes where I'd say I can do it because it's just I want to learn it. 9 out of 10 times when I think I can save cost, the amount of hours I put into it, I lose almost every single time.
Because it should be like a 1 or 2 hour job, and
it never is.
Three
it never is.
Speed bumps that ends up being 8 hours later. You're going to the next day, and then you're just ticked off, and then you're just doing it out of just anger. Like I'm gonna finish it just to be done with it. I'm not gonna do this again. And then 2 days later,
it happens again. Yeah,
there's another
always.
project.
It's so relatable.
I'm glad that I'm not the only one that has that exact same lifestyle.
Nope. I mean, I won't get into it heavily, but the most recent thing was installing a new hose bib for irrigation in the backyard. And I was like, oh, I can just move this thing. I go with my shovel and I start digging. I kid you not, 5 minutes into it, I shovel into something hard and I'm like, there's no gas, there's no water back here. What could it be? So I hit it a little bit harder and realized I just took my shovel and cut through our 4-inch underground drainage from the house that's supposed to go to the street. completely just cut in half. And so then it's 2 hours of like YouTube Academy and learning how to patch a 4-inch corrugated pipe, dude. I'm like,
all around God, it and then putting a new pipe in. And
I mean, I'm now very, very versed in 4-inch corrugated pipe. If you ever need somebody that knows it, but like,
let me save your number real quick on my phone.
Exactly.
I'll be calling you here in a few days.
But it certainly wasn't when I had my vision of how it would go. I thought I was going here, but life had other plans for me apparently. So,
but that's one thing I've talked with a lot of people too, is especially with kids and the way my kids absorb information from YouTube and everything else is that's the really great thing. It can be a curse at times too, but the great thing of YouTube, YouTube Academy, being able to go in there and hey, I need something, even if it's like I don't want to. It's not I'm trying to save money. I just need to get this done because it's kind of an emergency. Hey, how do I do this? And ChatGPT, you have a full conversation with that. Okay, I got to do this, and this. Cool, done deal. But
it's incredible
how he did atlases, big pocket atlases, and I remember before MapQuest and everything else. Like, how do we even? We're so used to now just GPS and everything. Like, I don't get it. I don't know how we survived.
Yeah, printing out MapQuest for my mom when we were going somewhere new, and then if you get lost, you're absolutely screwed. Like you have to backtrack.
That narrow directions. Like where did I go wrong?
You start going. You're like, I feel like we've gone more than the 3 miles. It said turn left, and like we've got. It's man, MapQuest, man. You brought up. Gosh, I don't miss those days.
A nostalgia episode. So we're reminisce about old things. I always tell the story to people is we bought this house 13 years ago or so, and when we came to look at it, my oldest now is 22, so at that time I think he was 12 maybe, and we were walking in the basement here, and there was an old phone. It was still plugged in. He knew it was a phone, just by the look of it. But he picks it up and puts it to his ear. He's like, "What's that noise?" I'm like, "What do you mean, what noise?" And I'm like, "You mean the dial tone?" And then it clicked how old I was at that point. Because I'm like, my child doesn't know what a dial tone is. Like, he doesn't know what a dial tone is. He doesn't know what dial-up internet sounds like. Like, they'll never understand that.
Fax machines, man. I remember picking up the phone and hearing the like the dial-up sound, or to me back when it was AOL Instant Message, and I'm trying to talk to my friends like, "Mom, I need to get on the internet."
Get off the phone so I can dial back in. with my
Oh,
CD
man.
that I got from PC Mag or whatever it was always part of.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh shoot!
That's awesome.
So yeah, but now 3D printing is a lot more futuristic.
Yes. Yes.
It's so much better. So
Yeah.
now like in your fleet, of course, because you do reviews, you build printers, etc. How many printers are actively in your fleet now?
So, to be honest with you, I probably only run maybe at the most it's a big project like 3 at a time, and part of it
Yeah.
isn't that I couldn't use more. Part of it is I am the master of tripping circuits. I do not have. There are only 15 amp breakers here. I had them put in one larger one in the garage because in the last place, if my CNC shop vac and my space heater were running, I had no power. So like I had to get at least a dedicated one for my space heater. But yeah, a lot of it is that I just can't run more. But yeah, I think currently there's probably like 30 printers here, and I cycle through them. Some of them I hold on to because I'm like, this is going to be a really fun printer to mod. Like I know there's going to be cool projects, like especially for budget printers. Like the community always does cool stuff. I'm like, I want to see like what kind of cool stuff come out in 3 months, 6 months. Yeah, it's always like mind blowing to me how creative people are when they have a printer and they learn some basic CAD skills. Or some people blow my mind where it's like, this is my first project. I'm like, this is nuts, dude. Like, I don't know how, like, yeah, I'm just like, salute to you because I've been here a long time and I'm telling you right now, I could not have, it would have taken me.
This to a tool changer. This is my first printer. Like, I'm like, first printer.
It's nuts, man. So yeah, I've got a lot of machines here, but the main ones currently that get a lot of use is, I mean, honestly, if I need a printer that I just can plug on, like you said it, I use Bamboos a lot. I really do. Yeah. They're just, the convenience. I know a lot of people are like, I don't like the cloud, or some people feel strongly about it. I love building and modding and tuning printers, but I like building and tuning and modding printers as sort of its own segment. Like it checks a different box for me in terms of like fulfillment and enjoyment in what I'm calling the hobby or the technology. But there's a lot of other times where it's like, man, I really need some organizers for this thing, or I need to print out parts for another printer build that need to be like, have tight tolerances, not warp, and just sort of get it out as quick as possible. And so I lean on them a lot. But yeah, it's sort of just, it goes around and around. Like 2.4 was getting a lot of use at one point. I kept it primarily stock until recently with, I still need to finish the firmware side of Box Turtle, but that was mostly stock, and probably the only stock like kit build printer I've had. Everything else, like the Trident's running the takeoff tool head, which is this insane metal 3D printed tool head with Delta fans and tube on it. And so yeah, it just depends on kind of what I'm doing. But because of the fact that I have to play musical chairs and moving around heavy printers sort of sucks. Like the X1 right here gets a lot of use. The P1S in the garage, and then between that, it's sort of just a hodgepodge of what do I feel like using today, or
what's
that type of thing.
Right there, or close.
Yeah,
what's within arm's reach.
Exactly. And like I have a few printers with I think I have 2 with 0.6 nozzles, one with a 0.8. So if I need a part that's just big, not super detailed, but just needs to be quick and functional for something, I'll pull those printers out of the works or plug them in. So yeah, it kind of just depends. But I've mentioned this a lot, but like I'm a big fan of all things 3D printing. So a lot of people, like I know, and it makes sense, every hobby or space I've been in, there's always like, this is my printer, I love this printer, and don't love this printer. And like, that's fine. But for me, I don't care, like whether it's Creality, Bamboo, Prusa, Elegoo, Sovol, I've got Peopoly, I don't care. Like whatever gets the job done and makes you happy, that has the requirements you want, is within your budget, and like that's all. So my goal's always been like how, like the channel, to me, the goal has always been to share things that I think are cool and then help people in one way, shape, or form. And sometimes the helping is like quite niched down, where like this is only an upgrade for the specific machine, so I'm isolating 95% of my audience. But then there's other times where it's like, no, this is a really cool thing I discovered that's a new slicer feature that's applicable to like 60% of users. So a huge goal of mine is to not niche down too hard in the content I make. Yeah. I try to sprinkle in a bit of everything, so that way there's something for everyone. Even if this week's video might not be your thing, hey, you might like next week's video. And also, I get bored. Like 3D printing is one of those like in my life, I have had a lot of hobbies, and I don't do things lightly. Like I'm very much like, this is my hobby. I need to go like,
Hyper-focus.
yeah,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
majorly, man. 3D printing
Mm.
is one of, if not the only one I can think of where a decade in and I still freaking love it. Like there's just so much to it. Like if you want to go down the rabbit hole of hardware, you've got that. If you want to go down the rabbit hole of firmwares, you got that. Slicers, you got that. Filament and mechanical and thermal properties and all. Like it's just, it is such a 3D modeling. It's such a vast space.
It's just so universal too.
I love it. I love it so
like
much,
you said,
man.
no matter what you like to do, tinkering, not tinkering, I just want to print this or that. I want to do it in special material. I don't. I just want to do it in PLA. It's just, there's something for everybody.
Yeah.
No matter if you're into 3D printing now, have thought about it, or not even into it.
Yeah.
There's something in there for everybody. Like you said, I give you props, and really to any content creator, of being able to stay in the realm of content creation for so long, especially when you include live streams in that, is because there is so much information to juggle, and it is hard to not like stick to one thing. Like, I'm good at this, I understand this the most, so I'm gonna stick to it. That way it doesn't get stale. So no, props out there, because to keep an audience entertained these days, especially like you said, consistently, is not the easiest
tough,
thing.
Man. No,
why people keep coming back to this show, I haven't figured that out yet. But I would imagine most of them have some type of like a hint of insanity.
Yeah, maybe. It's
or they like
definitely
the free filament at the end of the show. One or the other.
That could be it. I do in my live streams, I do notice a spike around giveaway time and a slight drop off, but there's a lot of people that do hang out for the whole show, and I appreciate them for that.
I've got plenty of consistent people that are here.
Yeah.
I'm probably getting called out in chat right now of hey, whoa. I've been here since the beginning, and I've never won one spool of filament here. Like,
it's fun. I've got a few. It's funny because I got a few people in my streams that will consistently like, man, I've never won one, and then I'll see a name win a spool, and I'm like, I know this person's won like 3 times in the last 6 months. They are so lucky, I'm like, hey, I'm not rigging it. Like we shuffle it every single time. Like it is as fair as I can be, man.
There's still conspiracy theories that they
in
the back end somehow promotes this or that.
Rigged. It's rigged.
I'm the same with all of our. We have our daily Discord giveaway. And of course, I message those people. So a lot of these people, like, I don't just randomly message all the people in the community. So like when I see these names, and all of a sudden I go back and I see the history, like, okay, well, this guy 1, 2, 3. Man, you won 3 times in the last 4 months. Like,
it's nuts.
I'm not gonna mention those names.
No,
people get their pitchforks and torches out and be like, okay, we're going after this guy. He's cheating the system.
Everyone in the streams though has been like a really good sport about it, as far as like congratulating whoever wins, even if of course like you're like, I wish it was me this time, but like everyone's been really good about that. But it's been tricky juggling so many different things. Part of it that's tough is, like sort of the saying, like, jack of all trades is a master of none. And I try there's so many things I cover where I'm like, I wish I could just close my doors, turn off all, not really, but just focus on this for the next month. But I can't, I cannot. I feel like I've learned enough about it to do the task at hand that I have, and enough to sort of give people some pointers to get a jump start and a general summary for those to also decide, do they want to go down this rabbit hole more, or is this project thing not for them? So it's definitely, I appreciate it. It's tricky, and I think to do it for this long, like, you have to be a little nuts, but you also you have to enjoy it. Like if I'm not working on a project or a video for more than like a couple of days, I start to get stir crazy. I'm like, no, like I need to it's really sort of one of those things in life that just makes me tick. And there's a lot of things, man. I do a lot of videos on subject matters that before I make the video, I'm going in blind, and I hit every possible issue, mistake. Erin, I mean, she's been with me for so long. She'll, how's it going? I'm like, I am so frustrated, hon. Like everything's going wrong. This is supposed to be oh my gosh. But I will say, like, I'm very stubborn, which is a good thing, I think, and I'm quite resourceful, I'd like to think. And so when I finally do figure out what stupid thing I was doing wrong, because usually it's user error, like it really is. I didn't sit the jumper correctly, or I didn't do the argument correctly. When I finally figured out, that feeling of getting over that hump is just so rewarding. I feel like it goes from like this dark valley of sadness to like I'm walking on sunshine, just playing in my head, man. It's like it's such a
I think it makes the content more real. And then the thing is the problems you're having, somebody else, most likely
We'll have it.
multiple people are having those same issues. So for you
Yep.
to be on the screen saying, okay, crap, I ran into this. Okay, well,
Yep.
now let's figure it out. Hey, here's the fix. Like,
Yep.
oh, cool. Like, number one, I don't feel so stupid because somebody else
Yeah,
had the same
it's
mistake.
a big part
But
of
then
it.
it's also, they also presented me the fix right there. So yeah, no, that's it's good to
Yeah.
stick to it.
So to be honest with you, the reason why I started streaming was because of that right there. It was, I had a handful of people reach out to me over the course of maybe it was 12 months or so, where I'm making 3D printer reviews or I'm just doing videos on things. And quite a few people reached out. Were like, man, like, hey, and this was even early days, like back when YouTube had a built-in messenger. So I was getting a lot of DMs via YouTube
Yeah.
Messenger, and people just saying like, hey, like, thanks for the video. He's like, I'm so frustrated. I don't understand. Like, I watch your videos and the prints look so good. And I'm having this, and I'm like, wait. Like, no. This is like after a lot of refinement and like trial and error. This isn't like, no. Like, I don't know how you got that out of this. And so a big part of me wanting to stream was so people could see me screw up live all the time. Like
Yeah.
every single project, I do something that is wrong. Like I mean, I can almost go back to every build I've done and I do something wrong, whether sometimes it's minor, sometimes it's major. But I like people seeing
out.
no, exactly. Yeah. I like people seeing me mess things up. And because I feel like it does what you just said, where they see like, oh, I screw that up too. And now I get to watch him get a little frustrated, but figure out how to sort of problem solve that and get the solution. And even in streams that are like 12 months old, I'll occasionally get a message that says, hey, I just watched this 3-hour stream and I ran into the same exact, like one of the most recent ones, which is so silly. I did a live stream unboxing of a printer, and I think it was a Sovol printer. And we unboxed it. We started the printing on it, and things were going wrong with the bed. It was like, and like, what is going on? I did not remove a piece of foam from the bed. A piece of foam. I mean, yeah, exactly. But in my defense, the piece of foam was the same like black tone as the bottom. It was very small and it was underneath it. And so when I figured it out on stream, obviously I'm like, who's a goof? Doik. But somebody commented last week on that unboxing. Oh my gosh, I was having issues with my printer. I watched your stream and realized my foam was still there. So it makes me feel a little better too that I'm not the yeah, exactly. That's a pretty extreme example. Usually I'm not forgetting foam in my printers, but it's just a recent example that came up. So
yeah. But like you said, and that's where it's always nice, even if it has that one effect on one person, whether makes their day, helps them with a problem. Like, hey, you know what, that made that video worth it.
It's all I need, man. Yeah,
that's
all I need.
That what I'm doing is helping people. So
yeah,
it's always nice to get that feedback, especially direct feedback back on something so old.
Yeah,
exactly. My older stuff. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it always feels good. I'm like, oh, like it feels good, but also I'm like, oh man, the quality of that video. If that's their first time seeing me, oh, yeah, it's interesting. Like when I started. And also, I don't know, like, as far as the stream goes or the interviews, cut me off at any point. I feel like we got to get through these questions. I don't know if, like, okay, because I can, okay.
Usually what I do is I just yell, shut up. When you need to cut it out. No.
Yeah, I'm going to get off the stream and my wife said, how was the stream? Like, it was good, but, like, he got a little rude at some point.
He's kind of feisty towards the end there.
Anyways, I think one thing that's a little odd about my channel compared to some channels is, like, when I started making YouTube videos at 18 or 19, roughly, or 17 or 18, back when I was, I only started making videos because as a teenager, I was a very troubled teenager. And I had to find something that would be a positive outlet out of the friends I was hanging out with at the time that just weren't doing anything positive. And so I found that I out of nowhere got really interested in video game hacking and modding and was like, this is really cool. And so the video side of things, like back then, too, however many years, I graduated in 2010 from high school, so it was probably around 2010 maybe, or maybe even a hair before that. People weren't really doing YouTube as like careers or like to like a business.
Oh, yeah.
It was still very much heavily like PewDiePie, cat videos. Like it was still kind of like that element. A lot of skits, a lot of like it was. I think even before the heavy prank stuff was like going around.
Yeah.
Which was, gosh, what an era. But as part of that, like I didn't set out to ever turn YouTube into a business. I didn't know it could be a business. It was literally just, I need an outlet. I like helping people now. And so that has probably shaped the channel to what it is today, for better or for worse. Like I'm really proud of the content, but there's definitely certain sides on the business side where like I'm probably not doing the best as if it was like just a business for me, because
yeah.
I didn't go into it from that standpoint. There was never like, what's a contract? What's an LLC? What's like all these different things
What
I
should
need?
I be asking for? What should I expect?
Yeah, exactly. It was always like, sure, I could do that. Yeah, you're cool. I like that. So, but I do, the one thing I am proud of is I do feel that even after all this time, like I've tried my best to stay as close to my roots as possible when it comes to trying to like, people have talked about this, like whether it's review or anything, like everyone has a bias. Maybe some cases it's an intentional, some cases it's completely an unknown, but like everyone carries previous knowledge in their heads or previous experiences. But I do really do my best to just see a thing and state what like what my experience is like. And yes, of course, there's certain tones, especially if it's a safety thing. But I try my best to just, this is what I've experienced. Is it good or bad? That's for you to decide. I've laid out the things that I think are good, the things that are like not that great.
I'm not telling you what to think.
Yeah, you decide. For some people, there's plenty of times where I see a thing that I'm like, I don't really like that. And people will let me know, like, I don't really care about that thing that you don't like. Like, it doesn't affect me. And I'm like, that's great then. Like, this is probably great for you. So I really have tried my best to stay as like in that path as possible. And I'm proud of that because that's always been the goal, is just share and let the user decide what's good for them, what's not for them. So yeah, I am
think
quite...
honestly is I've seen that, and I haven't been watching for 10+ years from the
sure.
very beginning,
Thank God it was rough. Please don't go back.
I just actually watched the first video of you yesterday. No.
Oh, I was like, that's fine. Yeah, no, that's it, man.
No, for a while, but is that no? I can see that, and that's why I would say to anybody that's looking to get into streaming or anything is do what you're comfortable with. Enjoy it, because as soon as you're making that video because you have to make that video, then you can see it in the video, and that's where your videos, your streams, the same as it's always exactly how you explain it is. It's just natural, it's real, it's relatable, and that's, I think, especially in this day and age where there are there's not a whole lot of negative in our 3D printing world
compared to a lot of other.
There's some gatekeepers and some negativity, and it's nice to just have somebody that's gonna, like you said, explain it to me. Here's what I see. This is what I see and found out with this and that. But you take away from it with whatever you want to. It's your decision, your opinion. Don't not like this because I don't like it, because that doesn't solve anything.
It doesn't feel like the right route. And I mean, again, everyone's got to do what's right for them. But I've had a handful of people describe the streams as kind of like, I mean, I'm going to quote this specific person because I remember it, but they described it as sort of like locker room talk, where it's very casual. Like everyone's just kind of as they are. And like, that made me feel really happy, because the goal has always been like, I want it to be as inviting as possible. Exactly, man. Like I didn't start this space as an engineer. I'm not an engineer. I started this space as a guy that thought 3D printing was cool. Yeah. What?
I said that's first on my show. I think I always say about 95% of the guests I have are some type of engineer. And
really?
98%, which you fit this this profile is 98% of the males that are on my show have facial hair. So I think it's kind of a rite of passage or something. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, my first job when I was 17, I worked at McDonald's, and it was the strictest job I ever had. You had to have no facial hair. You could have a mustache, but you couldn't have any other facial hair. So I had to shave completely, and they were always on me. And like, my facial hair grows really quickly. My mom's Swedish, so like I got the Scandinavian, like little Viking heritage.
You shave it and it just goes poof.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like it's like it reminds me of the Santa Claus movie, actually, when he becomes Santa and he tries to shave his beard. Hopefully you know the reference. Yeah. But yeah, I had to shave, and like even to this day, if I shave my facial hair, I go like all of a sudden like, you look like you're probably still in high school, and I don't love it. I do not. I always joke that like, if I shave, I'm like, hi, I'm Modbot. Like my voice retracts. Like it's so
it's a whole different thing.
It's a whole different thing, man. Yeah.
I did the same of Nick, and I think it was mustache or something. This is a while, because I've had it since I got married. So 2013 is when I started keeping my facial hair, and had it for years and years and years. And I was upstairs shaving one day, and I thought I had the guard on it. And of course, I may have said a choice word very loudly. Yeah. And my wife was downstairs. She's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Come here." So she walks in, and I'm going like this, and I pull it, and she was a cosmetologist. And I pulled it down. She's like, I can't fix that. I said, I know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so I had to shave everything off. And then I had
man.
the towel over my face. Had my
Yeah.
daughter, who's 10 now. I think she was probably 4 or 5 at the
Yeah.
time. And I put it down. And she's like, she looks at me. She goes, I don't like it. Because she never had seen me without facial hair. And
I've seen there's some videos like that, man. Like, you know, online where people do that, and it's like the baby doesn't recognize the dad anymore, or something like that. You know?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I make sure the guard is always on the clippers.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
And it's staying because I look too weird without it now.
Yeah, it trips me out. It's funny, not even with beard, but like I wore contacts from the age of I think 13 to about 20 every day, and then I was sort of back and forth. But like I've had screen jobs for the last so many years now, and also with YouTube, like I am in front of a computer for an unhealthy amount of time each day, and like when I'm very focused, I realize I don't blink very much, and so the contacts, like, by the end of the day, like, oh my god, yeah. So I finally switched to glasses. I didn't like them at first, and now I'm like, it feels like it's me. Like I feel like me when I have glasses on.
Now.
Exactly. And there's been a few times where I've had to wear contacts. Like just this last week, my son started swim lessons and my wife worked, so I was like, I got to get contacts. So I can't wear these in the pool, and this is how far I can see. But there's been like one or two. Yeah, there's been like 1 or 2 streams where either streams or videos where I didn't wear contacts, and people, the responses were unreal, man. Like, I mean, everything from like, oh, I like you look nice in contacts to like just utter disgust. Like, who are you? Like,
There's
what's wrong?
Yeah.
So I very much so am a glasses. Other than, you know, occasionally, like if I'm doing some sort of activity, like if we're like, hey, we're going kayaking, I'm like, all right, well, I'll probably throw some glasses, you know, contacts in or something like that. But beard, I could see. Yeah, the beard is definitely one of those things where it's like, yeah, people.
It's here to stay.
People notice. Yeah,
for sure.
This is kind of it for me, though. I've talked because Steve, when we were on the stream, we're like, some people were like, "Oh, are you gonna grow a beard like Steve's?" And I hit a certain point that's like in between where I'm at now and sort of the long, where I don't know how to handle it, and I get to this point where I'm like, I just can't. It's got to go. So I'm just like a short, and this is it for me, man. I'm not doing the whole thing. I mean, Steve and I think Nero's got a longer beard. You know, everyone else in the hobby that's got. Yeah, I'm good with it too, man. It's controllable and yeah, that's all I got. I can get out of the shower, dry it off really nicely, and you know, like maybe comb it if I'm feeling extra special that day, and call it good. Yeah, exactly.
Well, we're pretty much at the end of the interview here, and I always like to do a few just kind of fun rapid fire questions.
Oh, geez, okay.
Easy, really super in-depth questions.
Okay.
Just for a short answer, but always the first 2 are the same. First one, and your answer does not have to be Polymaker if it is not Polymaker. What is your favorite color of filament or surface effect or just overall filament in general?
Oh, geez. Okay. So that is so difficult. Okay, I'm gonna try to keep it not really in depth. I would say out of my entire time 3D printing, okay, the 3 that come to mind right now. 2 are Polymaker, 1's not. We'll start with Polymaker. So for Polymaker, it is the Vertigo series. I love the Vertigo series. Starlight, the Starlight series. I'm sorry, Starlight series. Yeah, Starlight series is incredible. I absolutely love it. Also, I know other companies have glittery of this type of filament, but Polymaker, and actually probably Zombie might have been one of the first, or Austin, that showed it to me. But the why am I keep saying Starlight? It's the Galaxy.
Oh, Galaxy, okay.
Yeah, the Galaxy line. So it was initially the Galaxy Blue was Austin's favorite, and I don't feel weird calling him Austin. I just call him Zombie. Everyone knows I feel like both, but yeah. Okay, yeah. So the Galaxy Blue was the first one I got, and my wife fell in love with it. And she loves tea, so she has all of her tea bag organizers in Galaxy Blue. But then like the ABS and ASA, it was my first experience printing with glitter in those materials, and I absolutely love it. It hides layer lines really nicely, which not that I have anything against it, but like it's kind of cool not having that be the focal point, and you just see this cool pretty part. And then for the non-Polymaker one, that doesn't exist anymore, but the formula was purchased, was the Polyalchemy elixir stuff from like 6 years ago. Yeah, a buddy, I always wanted it. It was like, I'm like, it's kind of pricey for what it is. And a buddy bought it for my birthday like 5 years ago. And seeing the way that the silk swells the dye, like as it comes out, like it blew my mind a little bit. So those are my 3. I'm sure I'm forgetting, but like off the cuff, those are the 3 that come to mind.
Okay, fair enough. And then the second question I always ask is, what print are you most proud of?
Oh my gosh. That is...
Makes you think a little bit, especially when the longer you're in it, the harder this question is to answer.
That is... Okay, I'm going to give two. And I don't have... one of them is downstairs. I cannot get it. And one I don't have anymore. I gave it to a friend when we moved. But the first one is actually a resin print, which I know is probably not the answer we were expecting here. But it was on a massive resin printer, and it was The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. And it turned out beautiful. Like, the detail, the wood texture, incredible. It blew my mind. I gave it to a buddy that's a huge Zelda fan, and it's on his N64 collection display. And then the other one isn't actually impressive in terms of someone saw it and be like, oh, that's crazy print. It was the first. So I got into 3D printing to do video game modding and hacking, which never really happened. Oh. But one of the first big projects I did when I learned a basic CAD was I made a miniature arcade cabinet. So it uses full-size fighting sticks, 4 buttons, a little screen. And that's because it was a functional one. And I was able to show it off and play video games on it. That's absolutely one of my favorites because I designed it. It's my thing. And I'm like, this is something I'm proud of. But there's a lot of other over the years where I'm like, this is wicked cool. I'm a practical guy. So I'm really into collectible card games from back in the day. And so I have a card storage organizer I love. And there's a lot, man. But I'm just going off the cuff. The Majora's Mask was incredible. And the arcade cabinet, being able to play so cool, man.
And then next up, of course, you've built some printers. You're working with Steve on some and everything else. If somebody's building a Voron, what is your go-to? A 2.4 or a Trident? Not taking into account that you're working with Steve on things.
Oh, yeah, that makes it a little. Okay.
And I know they have all their pros and cons, so there's no real wrong or right answer here.
I'm gonna say as short of an answer as I can. I think that if you don't have any reason to build a 2.4 that comes to mind, a Trident is an easier build and makes more sense. However, the flying gantry still blows my mind, and I love the flying gantry. So if you're a huge geek and just want something that's kind of cool, because you like the kinematics of a flying gantry, but yeah, if it's just from a straight up, I want a Voron printer, the Trident's an easier build, and it's got a lot of really cool stuff going on. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's my answer. Sorry.
Fair enough.
Sorry, 2.4. I love it. It's going to print like crap now. It's I heard you.
Nozzle clogs nonstop. It's going to grind into the bed. Yeah, that's what happens. But But other than that, the last question I have, if somebody's wanting to go watch just a fun, wholesome personality, talk about printers, talk about 3D printing, maybe help you along the way of some things, who would you suggest?
That is tricky. Well, partially because I don't watch all that much 3D printing content because I live in it so much. I watch a bunch of. This was a hint
that you're supposed to say yourself.
Oh, I wouldn't do that. That's not me though. I would want to highlight somebody else. I don't feel
comfortable saying this guy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You can't. I won't name anybody.
Okay, how about this? Yeah. Who was your inspiration? Who was one of your biggest inspirations into the 3D printing world? How about that? That makes it a little bit less focused on you.
Still tricky, but one of the guys that I used to watch a lot early on, and I can't even remember his name, and I feel awful. He's a Swedish guy that always does nutty 3D printing projects. He did a lot more of them back in the day. He did a 3D printed boat. He did also, what is this guy's? I feel I can find him in 2 seconds. I want to, can I look real quick? If I take 10 seconds? Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. I can find this guy.
Anybody that's done a boat, a big boat, he rode in?
He did it was a 3D printed surfboard. He's done a bunch of just incredible stuff. 3D printed, it's not a benchy, it's a full blown,
I wonder if that's the same guy that did the wakeboard and Fibron, I wonder?
Oh, where is he? Oh, nope, 3D printed. Oh my God. Okay, hold on. 3D printed. I'm checking one last thing. If I can't find it, where's the call it?
He really does.
Yeah, he's a real person.
He's just fabricated in your mind.
I'm so sad that I can't find him. I'm gonna have to find him. I feel so bad. He did 3D printing reviews stuff back in the day, but he did a lot of just crazy cool 3D printed projects that I was a big fan of. But it's been years. He kind of switched off of doing YouTube and stuff like that. But he was a big inspiration early on. And then, honestly, all the guys that started off with me, which was Joel, Tom, Angus, Tech2C, and There was one other person that's slipping my mind. Did I say Chuck? Did I say Chuck? If I didn't say
Chuck.
Chuck, it was Chuck. Yeah, that was sort of like the crew that initially I was watching where I'm like, oh, sick. Like this stuff's really fun and accessible. But there's a lot of good names and it's tough for me. The thing, I hate that I have long answers. I apologize. I just don't have. The biggest thing for me is like, I know that everyone learns differently and certain people will watch my videos and it won't be their style because I talk too fast and that's fine. Then there's other people that watch certain videos and they'll be like, oh man, like get to the point. So I like that there's so many people in this space now, even covering the same topics, because some people just will watch mine and be like, I don't get it. But this person explains it a lot better.
Yeah,
exactly.
Presents differently.
Exactly. So, I mean, I could probably list like 30 channels for someone, but for the sake of like not choosing like favoritism, like there was like those 5 back in the day and that Swedish guy, which I'm so sorry, Swedish guy. Aaron watched him all the time. So anyways, that's what I got.
Fair enough. Now, okay, for those that have enjoyed learning who you are, kind of what you're doing, the nostalgia behind some things that we got wrapped up in, where can they find you and follow you in all your projects and what you're doing?
Sure. Yeah, I would say the main place is on the Modbot YouTube channel. So on that channel, I do a video. I was doing it every Saturday. Now it's 3 Saturdays a month. So that's just Modbot, MODBOT. If you like squirrel content and talking about food while building stuff, I do live stream every single Wednesday on Modbot Army. So that's just Modbot with Army at the end of it. And that's basically it. I would say as far as I don't really like, I know it seems hypocritical to say, I don't really like social media. The only other one I'm even occasionally checking on is X, previously known as Twitter. I made a Blue Sky account, but because I don't like social media, I can't juggle so many accounts. It's just not my thing. If you, I would say just if you subscribe on YouTube, that's where you're gonna. That's
where the best stuff happens.
That's the best stuff. That's where the magic happens. Everything else is like, this guy really is a squirrel. He wasn't lying.
So am I. So you get us both together, and you get yourself a 5-hour-long show. So no.
Yeah.
No, yeah. But I greatly do appreciate you coming on the show. It was great talking with you and reminiscing.
It's a pleasure.
See you soon. Are you going to be at any rep wraps this year?
No, people have been asking, man. My day job we didn't talk about. I work for Lightburn, and that's my day job, and I love it. It's so much fun. But we're having a convention in Manhattan in July, which is LBX, and so I will be there working, helping out as needed, just wherever they tell me to be. Like wherever a squirrel is useful, I will be there. But the other events I wanted to go to, but we have baby number 2 on the way, and I didn't know that. Thank you so much. I didn't know that last year when I was like, yeah, I'm going to this and that, and it has not been the smoothest pregnancy. So I cannot. I will be here. I'll be at home base, just watching everybody else have fun, and it's just I'll be a little sad.
Not recording your show and showing up late to your wedding. Yeah, let's focus on baby number 2.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm as I've gotten older, I've got my priorities a little more straight. So yeah, I will be here to support my wife and our new baby and our 2-year-old. So, but yeah, I'm excited to see what cool stuff comes out, and I will absolutely be jealous of you and Polymaker and everybody else that gets to go attend these cool events and see awesome stuff. And
once things settle for you a little bit more, we'll get you out there. We'll see somewhere.
You can't keep me tied down. You can't keep me tied down. I'll be there.
The man can't keep me down.
Yeah, I'll be there, brother.
Thank you very much, Daniel, for all your time. I'll let you go and have a good night, and we'll see you around soon.
Sounds great. Thanks again for having me on.
Yep, have a good one. See ya.
All right, cheers.
And yet another episode in the books. Daniel is obviously a great guy. Me and him probably could talk for many, many more hours. So I appreciate everybody sticking around and learning more about him and just kind of the really kind of going back to the basis of things. I know we mentioned the Ender 3 several times and things like that, but there's everybody's got their own start, and we're not knocking any new members to the community, to the 3D printing world. You definitely haven't made a lot of, it's a lot easier, but still, there's still things to learn. It's not just something you can still just 100% jump into with zero effort. So no, props to anybody getting into it and sticking to it. Even more props if you started off with an Ender 3 or something likewise. But with that said, we've got a few things going on here, which I did not do ahead of time. That doesn't exist. That right there, that was there. Sorry, guys. Wasn't meaning to tease. I forgot to turn that off before I pre-recorded that interview that we just had, because this isn't live. I'm sorry. I may have led you on. This is actually going to be the second half of the show that's recorded first. So I probably am going to do some little tricks and whatnot in the first half of the show when I record it to make you think it's live. because I'm just that kind of person. But there is no giveaway for those watching. I really do appreciate the support that you give us every single week, whether there's a giveaway or not. Some of you guys have figured out how to, know right off the rip if it's live or pre-recorded. I've got a lot of travel plans this year, so there's going to be some pre-recordeds here and there. I do definitely love the live, so I miss that I can't respond to you guys. Depending where my flight is on this Thursday, I might be in the chat, hanging out with you guys, watching myself. Definitely not weird. But aside from watching the show, are you watching the rest of our projects? We have Polymaker figurines led by Antoine Dimensions, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all over the interwebs. And he does a new video every 2 to 3 days of Pokemon. And sometimes he throws in a little mix of not Pokemon or kind of fun, either unrelated or close to being related videos. But as those videos are released, the Pokemon that he prints and presents is available on Maker World for free to download in multicolor or single color, however you prefer. And yeah, you can print them away. There's 151 of the original already done. He's on version 2, I think, finishing that up really soon. So what's next? There's no stopping him. That train's just rolling on its own. So we just stay out of the way. But we also do have Polymaker Education that is led by Creative Sprit, and that is the same format every time that she releases a video. Then a model that was showcased in that video is available for download for free. And somebody probably already did it. !PME, !PMF for the figurines link. So apologize that they're out there. But Britt is doing a great job of working with a team of modelers to just give you guys models to print to use as you wish for whatever reason, or for the educational purpose that it was intended for, as presented in her videos. So make sure to give her a like and follow. She is, again, also across the board. Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all that good stuff. We also have Polymaker Labs, !PML in chat. You'll get that link. That's led by Sean, who is our Polymaker scientist, showing you tips, tricks, troubleshooting, little tidbits of information to help you print better, help you print or pass over some issues or problems you may be having, or just some information to take in. So if you do run into that problem, you already have that answer. So he is doing that on TikTok as Polymaker Labs or _labs. Polymaker _lab, actually, I think. So make sure to give him a follow. Always fun to do or fun to watch. He's got some good energy, add some fun flair to it. But we also have In Printing Color, a show sponsored by Polymaker and hosted by Pezliz. That's going to be !IPC. And she is live every Wednesday at twitch.tv/Pezliz to present In Printing Color, where she goes over new colors or even old colors or different materials and different use cases and how to use different things. Recently, she's done some polysmooth things that was really popular. Again, I always say this every single week. There's colors coming. She'll be showcasing those, showing you guys just fun ways of using them. Just give you some ideas. If you have printer block and you just don't know what to print, but you do have that color, print this. So always fun to watch. She's got great energy. She'll also be at the events coming up at the Rep Wraps. So make sure to say hello to her. And then last but not least, we have Meet the Polymaker. Now that's here every Thursday. You're watching it now, so you know this. But 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Not missing a show, people. It's going to keep going. There might be arguments. It's pre-recorded. You missed a show. No, there's a show that aired on the date of a Thursday every single week, and we're going to keep on that. So we also do have a community stream that we do on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. Now this coming Tuesday, I will be traveling. I might pop in just to say hello. It depends where I am on the traveling schedule at that time for a project. Stay tuned, because that project is going to be Wednesday. So I will go live Wednesday to unveil an official, fully Polymaker Maker Lab at a school. I'm not sure how much information I'm allowed to put out there yet, but just watch it. It's going to be in the morning. It's going to be, I think, 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time. I don't know. New Mexico. Albuquerque, New Mexico is where I'll be. 10:30 a.m. is when I'll go live there, whatever that time zone is. I don't remember. So make sure if you're not too busy, or if you can take a break from work, we're just going to be, I'm going to be there, live, helping these students set up their new Maker Lab. It's going to be quite awesome. There's some people who have seen some hints and whatnot during the Hangouts that I've printed for that project. So hopefully you guys are able to tune in that. And if not, then we'll be back here next Thursday at 7 p.m. for another show. So that is it. I'm done rambling. This show's went along. I appreciate you guys hanging in there the whole entire time. If you're still here watching me, even more thanks. But you guys have a wonderful night. I will catch you next week, and have a wonderful week, a wonderful weekend, and good night. See you guys later.